Hey everybody, Craig here. What's going on? Do you remember the lacrosse game I shot the other night? I came home early, I wimped out because it was cold and I was shivering and everything.
Brr, it's cold out there. Man, my hands are still a little frozen.
Well, I went through the photos. There were 245 photos. Of those, I selected 5 that we are going to edit together. So let's get to it. So I have 5 photos here to edit with you guys. Let's start out right here. These first 3, I want to show them to you because they were taken in sequence. So you have number 1, number 2, number 3. So let's take a look at them. There's the first one, pretty cool. I like this one. This one's got faces, which you always want faces. That's in focus. You got the ball right there, which is always good. You got a whole bunch, you got some action. And there's the second one, which isn't bad either. I like this one too. You got the faces again. The ball is kind of getting covered up right there. There's still some action going on though. And you got the third shot. Third shot I don't like near as much. It's in focus. There's a couple faces, but it seems to be missing. They're kind of all just kind of bunched together. I don't like how it's looking in the photo. Kind of missing what the action really is. Let's set that rating to 1 so I can get rid of it. And let's go back now. So I have 2 photos I need to decide. I've got that one and I've got that one. Both are pretty cool shots. I like them both. This one is, I think this one's just a little bit better, a little more action going on right in here. And I've got face and a partial face. This one, I don't have that. So let's get rid of that one and go back here. All right, we're going to edit this one. First thing I'm going to do is crop it. Yes, I crop my photos sometimes. So what I'm going to do is just kind of move it in a little bit like that. Now keep in mind, this is not a step-by-step tutorial on how to edit sports photos in Lightroom. This is just my process that I have to go through very quickly because I need to get the photos out to the public or to the publisher. All right, so we got a little crop going on here. How do I decide how much to crop? Well, got to keep all the action. I like having some space from the sides. I don't like things real tight because then it's claustrophobic. That's what I would call it. So we're going to give a little bit of room. Sometimes you work on the rule of thirds, which you got the ball right there, and the peak action is right here, which is close. If you go by the rule of thirds, it's pretty close. So let's just keep it right there. Actually, I want to lower it just a little bit. And you can also check your, make sure it's level, and things are level. How about that? Now the photos you're seeing were all shot with an Nikon D7200 camera body, along with a Sigma 50 to 150 lens, 2.8 aperture. So I've got it cropped. Now the next thing I would do is bump up the exposure just a little bit. So we're just going to move up just a little bit. Don't have to go a lot. It looks pretty close to where it should be. I'm zooming in. It looks pretty good. Now, all this stuff here, that's called noise. You're going to see it when you're shooting at high ISOs. So that looks pretty good so far. So I'm going to add just a little contrast. Some people like to add a lot of contrast, but it does that to your photo. And to me, it just doesn't look very good. So I'm just going to add just a little contrast. And then I'm going to add a little bit of clarity, just a little bit. Again, don't put too much clarity because it really brings out, as you can see here, it's really bringing out the noise in this image. So I'm going to add just a little bit, just to make it, just kind of pump it up a little bit, make it a little more exciting, you could say. And then I'm going to go to noise reduction because I'm going to add just a little bit to kind of get rid of some of this noise that's in there. So again, don't put too much in there. If you use too much, it looks like it's a painting now, which is kind of a cool effect, as you can see, but that's not what we want. So it's lacrosse. Lacrosse is a rough game. So I'm just going to do just a little bit. And there you go. There's the photo. Number 1 is done. All right, let's move on to the second photo, shall we? Now this one, it may not be the greatest looking photo right now, but what I do know, a lot of lacrosse players, they'd like a shot like this. It shows them shooting, making an attempt on goal. They like this. Obviously, this one's crooked. I don't know how I did that. I must have had my head tilted a little bit. So we're going to come on in, tighten that up a little bit. Straighten the horizon. Still seems a little tight to me. All right, so that's where I'm going to leave that one right there. That looks pretty good. Now this one, if you see, it's at ISO 8000 at 1/1600th of a second. Kind of crazy settings, but sometimes you need to push your equipment to the limits just to see what they can do. Helps you out in the field later. So again, what we're going to do, we're going to add a little bit of exposure because this one looks a little dark. Don't want to add too much contrast because it's already kind of noisy. Just a little clarity, not much at all. Then we'll come down here and we'll go to the noise reduction. And there you go. That one is done. Now what you can do, if you get a photo that's really noisy, you could call it like this, all this noise, you can actually go up here and drop the saturation, which essentially makes it a black and white photo. People love black and white photos. But what I would do if I did that, I'd drop the highlights a little. Then I would go up a little more contrast, a little more clarity. And there you go, kind of a cool looking photo. Now what I don't like about this photo, in case you're interested, is the people in the background. Now if they're more engaged, it would be cool, but they just aren't engaged. All right, let's do the third photo. This one's kind of cool. The guy's about to fall down. I like that. So again, start by cropping. And if you've noticed on all these photos, they're really low to the ground. I was actually kneeling on the ground when I took these photos. I wasn't standing up. You want to get low and make them bigger than life, basically. All right, so it looks like we got this all taken care of. Just double checking it. You could probably go a little tighter if you wanted. And on this one, I'd probably leave a little room off to the side. Since he's kind of falling that way, it kind of gives them that room to fall. And again, we just go through our process. Add some exposure, just to kind of bump it up a little bit. Because we're at ISO 8000, 1/1600th of a second. And then we're going to add just a little clarity. A little bit of contrast and clarity. And then we're going to add some noise reduction to kind of take care of all that stuff. And there you go. Photo number 3. All done. It still looks a little tight up at the top though. And if you want to go by the rule of thirds, as you can see, the ball and the action is right there. So it's almost around the rule of thirds. If you're a rule of thirds type of guy, that is. Some days I am, but some days I break the rules. So there we have. There's all our photos. Let's go back through them. There's the last one we did. There's that one. That's probably the one I like the least out of all these. And we got that one. So that's the 3 we have. And truthfully, I think I've got too much noise reduction. It's looking a little, looks too smooth to me. So let's drop the noise reduction down just a little more. Because this is Lacrosse. Okay, see, that looks a little better now. I like how that looks. There you have it, editing Lacrosse photos in Lightroom. A non-step-by-step guide. I use this because it's quick, it's efficient. I can get the photos out real fast to the publisher or to the public, which is why we're taking these photos, is so they can be seen. I could go through and color grade them, but for most purposes, you don't need to do that. Well, I have another game I need to go out and shoot. So while I'm doing that, don't forget, subscribe to my channel. Leave some comments or questions below. I'll get back to them, I promise you. And check out sportsphoto101.com. Well, I'm going to go out and shoot. I suggest you guys do the same.